This starter has been in the fridge for months. I fed this starter and put it in the fridge in May when my kids got out of school before all the summer shenanigans started, and she is taking up way too much room in my fridge. So it is time to get her out and get her fed. Do you see all that hooch on there? If this happens to you after your starter's been in the fridge, do not fret, it is not bad. That is just a sign that your sourdough starter is very hungry and ready to be fed. So you are going to want to mix all of that goodness back into your starter. If you prefer a milder tasting sourdough starter and you don't want it to be a sour tasting, you can pour that off the top if you prefer. Uh-oh, I have bread in the oven and it's time to take the lids off. My timing is no bueno. My glasses immediately fogged up. Woo, gorgeous. Okay, back to what I was saying. So we're going to mix this up because I do like my starter sour. I love the sour taste in sourdough bread. So we are going to get all of that good hooch back mixed up into our starter, and then we're gonna feed it. After the hooch is all mixed up, if you need to make room in the jar to be able to feed it, then you can discard, which I'm actually going to do, because if I feed this equal parts of flour, it's gonna be too much and might overflow, and we don't want that. Use a rubber spatula to scrape this down so I can kind of better see my starting point. So we are here. We're gonna give it about that much flour, equal parts, okay? If you wanna measure in a separate jar, you certainly can. But why dirty another jar when this one's just fine? That's about equal parts, good for me. And I cannot find my measuring cup to save my life, so I'm using a cup to give it some water. Let's see if that does it. So I am feeding this one nice and thick, which is what I like to do. It has been starving in the fridge for months, so it is gonna eat through all of that flour without needing the extra help from like a ton of water, so you don't wanna feed it too thin. This is how I always like to do it. See how it's not sliding right off the spurtle? It's just like very thick pancake batter, muffin batter, if you will. That's what we want. You wanna make sure to really incorporate all that flour so there's no raw pockets of flour. And we're going to let this sit and do its thing. It is normal for a starter to need a couple feedings before it reactivates fully. Don't fret if you take it out of the fridge and it doesn't do anything on its first feed. It's normal. It may take a time or two more to feed it and then it'll be ready to bake with. Once it's peaking at about 4 to 6 hours after being fed, you can start baking with it. I will report back in a few hours to see how this little section of Eve is doing.